Jeremiah chapter 4. If you will return, O Israel, return to me, declares Adonai. If you will put in your detestable things out of my sight, then you will not waver. You will swear, as Adonai lives, in truth. In justice and in righteousness the nations will bless themselves in him, and in him they will glory. Thus says Adonai to the people of Judah and to Jerusalem, break up your up-plowed ground, and do not sow among thorns. Circumcise yourself to Adonai, and remove the foreskins of your heart, men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, else my wrath will break out like fire and blaze with no one to quench it, because of your evil deeds. Imminent invasion from the north. Declare in Judah and proclaim in Jerusalem, saying, blow the shofar in the land, cry aloud, and say, assemble yourselves. Let us go into the fortified cities, raise a banner towards Zion, take refuge, do not delay, for I bring calamity from the north, even terrible destruction. A lion has come up from his thicket, a destroyer of nations has set out. He has left his place to make your land a wasteland, your cities will lie in ruins without inhabitant. Therefore put on sackcloth, lament and wail, for the fierce anger of Adonai has not turned away from us. It will happen in that day, it is a declaration of Adonai, that the king's heart will fall, and will the heart of the princes. The Kohanim will be appalled, and the prophets will be stunned. Then I said, alas, Adonai Elohim, how completely you have deceived this people in Jerusalem, saying, you will have shalom until the sword touches the soul. At that time it will be said to this people and to Jerusalem, a scorching wind from the barren hills of the wilderness blows toward my people, but not to winnow or to sift. A wind too strong for these things will come from me. Now even I will pronounce judgments against them. See, he comes up like clouds, and his chariots like whirlwinds. His horses are swifter than eagles. Oi, we are ruined. O Jerusalem, purify your heart from wickedness, so that you may be saved. How long will your wicked thoughts lodge within you? A voice announces from Dan and proclaims calamities from the hill of Ephraim. Remind the nations, proclaim over Jerusalem, besiegers are soon coming from a far country, raising their voice against the cities of Judah like the keepers of a field. They surround her, because she has been rebellious against me. It is a declaration of Adonai. Your conduct and your deeds have brought these things on you. This is your calamity. How bitter it is, how it smites your heart. My stomach, I writhe in anguish, the pain of my heart is pounding within me. I cannot keep silent, because I have heard, O my soul, the sound of the shofar, the battle cry of war. Disaster on disaster is reported, so the whole land is ruined. My tents are suddenly ravaged, my curtains in an instant. How long must I see the battle standard and hear the sound of the shofar? For my people are foolish, they do not know me. They are senseless children, and they have no understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they do not know. I looked at the earth, and behold, it was deserted and desolate, and on the heavens they had no light. I looked at the mountains, behold, they were shaking, and the hills were swaying to and fro. I looked, and behold, no people. All the birds of the sky had fled. I looked, and behold, the fruit field was a wilderness, and all of its cities were in ruins before Adonai, before his fierce anger. For thus says Adonai, the whole land will be a wasteland, yet I will not totally destroy it. Therefore the earth will mourn, and the heavens will above grow black. For I have spoken, I have purposed, nor will I relent, nor turn from it. At the sound of the horsemen and archers, the whole city flees. The whole city flees. They go into the thickets and climb up to the rocks. The whole city is deserted. No one dwells in it. And you, O desolate one, what are you guys doing? What will you do? Though you dress in scarlet, though you adorn yourselves with gold ornaments, though you enlarge your eyes with paint, in vain you make yourselves beautiful. Your lovers despise you, they seek your life. For I heard a cry like one in labor, the anguish of one giving birth to her first child, the cry of the daughter of Zion, gasping for breath, stretching out her hands, saying, Oi, now come to me, for my soul faints before murderers. Jeremiah chapter 5, God's just judgment. Roam the streets of Jerusalem, look around and consider, search for her squares. If you can find a person, if there is one who does justice, who seeks truth, then I will pardon the city. Though they say, as Adonai lives, surely they will swear falsely. Adonai, do your eyes not look more for faithfulness? You struck them, but they did not grieve. You disciplined them, but they refused correction. They made their faces harder than stone. They refused to return. Then I said, These are only the poor. They are foolish, for they do not know the way of Adonai, the ordinance of their God. I will go to the distinguished and speak to them. Surely they know the way of Adonai, the ordinance of their God. But they too had broken the yoke and torn off the bonds. Therefore a lion from the forest will kill them, a desert wolf will ravage them, a leopard watches over their cities. Everyone who ventures out will be torn to pieces, for their rebellion is great, their backsliding is frequent. Why therefore should I forgive you? Your children have forsaken me and sworn by those who are not gods. Even though I fed them well, they committed adultery. They thronged to the prostitute houses. They are well-fed, lustful stallions, each neighing for his neighbor's wife. For such should I not punish them. It is a declaration of Adonai. On such a nation at this should I not avenge myself? Go up into her vines and ravage them, but do not completely destroy them. Strip away her branches, for they are not Adonai's. For the house of Israel and the house of Judah have been utterly unfaithful to me. It is a declaration of Adonai. They have lied about Adonai, saying, Not he, no harm will come to us, nor will we see sword or famine. The prophets are but wind, and the word is not in them. Let what they say be done to them. Therefore, thus says Adonai Elohim, because you speak this word, behold, I will make my words in your mouth, and this people would, and it will devour them. See, I am bringing a nation against you from afar. House of Israel is a declaration of Adonai. It is an enduring nation, an ancient nation, a nation whose language you neither know nor understand what they say. Their quiver is an open grave. They are mighty warriors. They will devour your harvest and your food. They will devour your sons and your daughters. They will devour your flocks and your herds. They will devour your vines and your fig trees. They will demolish your fortified cities, the ones in which you trust with the sword. Yet even in those days, declares Adonai, I will not completely destroy you. So it will come to pass that when you ask, why has Adonai Elohim done all these things to us, you will tell them, as you have forsaken me and served foreign gods in your land, so will you serve strangers in a land that is not yours. Declare this in the house of Jacob and proclaim it in Judah, saying, Hear this, you foolish people, who have no understanding, who have eyes but do not see, who have ears but do not hear. Do you not fear me, says Adonai? Do you not tremble in my presence? For I made the sand a boundary of the sea, an everlasting decree that cannot be broken. Though the waves roll, they cannot prevail. Though they roar, they cannot cross it. But this people have a stubborn and rebellious heart. They have turned aside and gone away. They do not say in their heart, Let us now fear Adonai Elohim, who gives rain in its season, fall rain and spring rain, who reserves for us the appointed weeks of harvest. Your iniquities have turned these away. Your sins have deprived you of bounty. For among my people are wicked men, watching like bait layers, lying in waiting. They set a trap. They catch men. As a cage is full of birds, so are the houses full of deceit. That is why they grew great and rich. They grew fat and sleek. They also overlooked evil deeds. They do not uphold the cause of an orphan to prosper, nor do they defend the right of the poor. Should I not punish them, says Adonai, on such a nation? Should I not avenge myself? An appalling and horrible thing has happened in the land. These prophets prophesy falsely. The Kohanim rule by their own authority, and my people love it this way. But what will you do in the end? Jeremiah chapter 6, Jerusalem under siege. Flee for refuge, children of Benjamin, from the midst of Jerusalem, below the shofar in Tekoa, and raise a signal in Beth-Jerim. For disaster looms from the north, and even terrible destruction. The lovely, delicate daughter of Zion I will cut off. Shepherds with their flocks are coming against her. All around her they pitch their tents, each pasturing in his own place. Prepare for the war against her. Rise up. Let's attack at noon. Oi for us, for the day is fading. Evening shadows are lengthening. Rise up. Let's attack at night and destroy her palaces. For thus says Adonai Zavat, chop down her trees, raise a siege ramp at Jerusalem. The city must be punished. In her midst only oppression. As a well gushes out its waters, so she pours out her wickedness. Violence and havoc are heard in her, sickness and wounds ever before. Be warned, O Jerusalem, lest I abandon you, lest I make you desolate in uninhabited land. Thus says Adonai Zavat, glean the remnant of Israel thoroughly as a vine. Pass your hand over the branches once more, like a grape gatherer, to whom I can speak and warn, so they would hear. See, their ears are uncircumcised, unable to hear. The word of Adonai has become scorn to them. They have no delight in it. So I am full of the wrath of Adonai. I am weary of holding it in. Pour it out on a child in the street. When young men gather together, for husband will be taken with wife, the aged with the very old. Their homes will be turned over to others, together with their fields and their wives. For I will stretch out my hand on the inhabitants of the land. It is a declaration of Adonai. For from the least to the greatest, all of them are greedy for gain, and from the prophet even to the Kohen, everyone practices deceit. They healed the wound of my people, superficially saying, Shalom, shalom, when there is no shalom. Were they ashamed when Hay committed abomination? When they committed abomination? No, they were not at all ashamed. They did not know how to blush. Therefore they shall fall among those who fall. At that time At the time that I punish them, they shall be overthrown, says Adonai. Thus says Adonai, stand in the roads and look, ask for the ancient paths, where the way is good, and walk in it. Then you will find the rest for your souls. But they said, we won't walk in it. So I set watchmen over you, saying, listen to the sound of the shofar. But they said, we won't listen. Therefore hear, O nations, and observe, O congregation, what is against them. Hear, O earth, see, I will bring disaster on the people, fruit of their schemes, for they did not listen to my words and rejected my Torah. Of what use to me is frankincense coming from Sheba, or sweet cane from a distant country? Your burnt offerings are not acceptable, nor are your sacrifices pleasing to me. Therefore thus says Adonai, look, I am laying before the people stumbling blocks, and against them they will stumble, fathers and the sons together, a neighbor and his friend, they will perish, destruction from the north. Thus says Adonai, look, a people coming from a northern land, a great nation, roos from the ends of the earth. They are armed with bow and spear, cruel with no compassion. They sound like a roaring sea as they ride on horses, as men in battle formation against the daughter of Zion. We have heard of their fame. Our hands hang limp. Anguish has gripped us, pain like a woman in labor. Don't go out into the field or walk on the road, since the enemy has a sword. There's terror on every side. Daughter of my people, put on sackcloth and roll in ashes, mourn as for an only son, with bitter lamentation, for suddenly the destroyer will come on us. I have made you a metal tester among my people, so you may observe and test their way. They are all stubborn rebels, spreading slander. They are bronze and iron, all of them are corrupt. The bellows blow fiercely, blasting away the lead with fire. The refining is completely in vain, for the wicked are not drawn off. They are called cast-off silver, for Adonai has cast them off. Jeremiah chapter 7, mend your ways. The word that came to Jeremiah from Adonai, saying, stand in the gate of Adonai's house and proclaim, there is this word, and say, hear the word of Adonai, all of you Judah that come through these gates to worship Adonai. Thus says Adonai Zavat, the God of Israel, mend your ways and your deeds, and I will let you live in this place. Do not trust deceptive words and say, the temple of Adonai, the temple of Adonai, the temple of Adonai. No, if you truly mend your ways and your deeds, if you are doing justice between a man and his neighbor, not oppressing the sojourner, orphan, or widow, nor shedding innocent blood in this place, nor going after other gods to your own ruin, then I will let you dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers forever and ever. Look, you are trusting in deceptive words that are empty. Will you still murder, commit adultery and perjury, and offer incense to Baal, and walk after other gods whom you have not known, and then come to me and stand before me in the house that bears my name, saying, we are saved, so that you may keep doing all these abominations? Has this house which bears my name become a den of robbers in your eyes? Look, even I have seen it. It is a declaration of Adonai. Indeed, go now to my place that was in Shiloh, where I first made my name dwell. Now see what I did to it because of the wickedness of my people. While you were doing all these things, declares Adonai, I spoke to you early and often, but you did not listen, and I called you, but you did not answer. Therefore I will do the house that bears my name. I will do to the house that bears my name, the one you trust, the one that I gave to you and your fathers, as I have done in Shiloh, and I will cast you out of my sight, just as I cast out all your brothers, all the offspring of Ephraim. As for you, do not pray for the people, do not offer any supplication or petition for them, nor entreat me, because I will not hear you. Do you not see that they are doing what they are doing in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood, the fathers light the fire, and the women knead the dough to make sacrificial cakes to the Queen of Heaven. Moreover, they pour out drink offerings to other gods in order to provoke me to anger. But am I the one they are provoking, declares Adonai? Are they not vexing themselves to their own shame? Therefore, thus says Adonai Elohim, my anger and my wrath is about to be poured out on this place, on man and beast, and on the trees of the field, and on the field of the land, and it will burn, and it will not be quenched. Thus says Adonai Zavat, the God of Israel, add your burnt offering to the sacrifices, and eat the meat. For on the day that I brought your fathers out of the land of Egypt, I did not speak to them, nor did I command them concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices, but I explicitly commanded them, obey my voice, and I will be your God to you, and you will be my people. Walk in all the ways that I command you, and it may go well with you. But they did not listen or pay attention. And so they followed their own counsel and the stubbornness of their own evil heart. They have gone backward and not forward. From this day your fathers left the land of Egypt until today, although I sent to you all my servants, the prophets, daily and persistently. They did not listen to me or pay attention. Rather, they stiffened their neck, doing more evil than their fathers. When you tell them all these things, they will not listen to you. When you call to them, they will not answer you. So you will say to them, this nation has not obeyed the voice of Adonai their God, or received correction. Truth is perished and is cut off from their own mouth. Cut off your hair and throw it away, and take up a lamentation in the barren hills. For Adonai has spurned and cast off the generation of his wrath. Valley of slaughter. The children of Judah have done what is evil in my sight. It is a declaration of Adonai. They have set their detestable things in the house that bears my name to defile it. They have built the high places of Topheth in the valley of Ben Hinnom to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I did not command, nor did it even enter my mind. Therefore the days are soon coming, declares Adonai, when it will no longer be called Topheth, nor the valley of Ben Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter, for they will bury in Topheth there until there is no room. The carcasses of the people will be food for the birds of the sky and for the beasts of the earth, and no one will frighten them away. Then I will bring to an end from the cities of Judah and from the streets of Jerusalem to the voice of joy and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, for the land will be desolate. Jeremiah chapter 8. At that time, it is a declaration of Adonai, the bones of the kings of Judah, and the bones of his princes, the bones of the Kohanim, and the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem will be brought out of their graves. They will spread them out to the sun, the moon, and all the hosts of heaven, which they have loved and served, and after which they have walked and sought, and which they have worshipped. They will not be gathered or buried, but will be like dung on the face of the ground. So death will be chosen rather than life by all the remnant that remains of this evil family that remains in all the places to which I have driven them. It is a declaration of Adonai Zavat. Each turns his own way. Moreover, you will say to them, thus says Adonai, do men fall and not get up again? Does one turn away and not return? Why then has this people, Jerusalem, turned away in perpetual backsliding? They cling to deceit, they refuse to return. I listened attentively, but they have not spoken to what is right. No one repents of his wickedness, saying, what have I done? Each one turns in his own direction like a horse charging in a battle. Even the stork in the sky knows her appointed times, and the turtle dove swallows the crane. Observe the time of their migration, but my people do not know the judgment of Adonai. How can you say we are wise? The Torah of Adonai is with us. In fact, it is the lion pen of the scribes that have made it a lie. The wise men will be put to shame, shattered, trapped. Look, they have rejected Adonai's words, so what wisdom do they have? Therefore I will give their wives to others, and their fields to new owners. For from the least to the greatest, everyone's greedy for gain. From the prophet even to the Kohen, everyone practices deceit. They heal the fracture of the daughter of my people by treating it superficially, saying, Shalom, shalom, when there is no shalom. Were they ashamed of the abomination they committed? No, not ashamed at all. They do not know how to blush, so they will fall among the fallen. At the time of their punishment they will be brought down. It is a declaration of Adonai. I will utterly consume them, says Adonai. There will be no grapes on the vine and no figs on the fig tree, and even the leaf will wither. And what I gave them will pass away. Why are we sitting here? Assemble. Let us flee to the fortified cities and perish there. For Adonai Eloheinu has silenced us and given us poisoned water to drink, for we have sinned against Adonai. We hoped for shalom, but it is no good for a time of healing. And suddenly terror. From Dan is heard the snorting of his horses at the sound of his touts neighing. The whole land quakes, for they come and devour the land and everything in it, the city and all who live there. For I am about to send serpents on you, vipers for which there is no charm, and they will bite you. It is a declaration of Adonai, weeping for Jerusalem. My joy is overcome by grief. My heart is faint with me. Listen, the sound of the cry of the daughter of my people, a voice from a distant land. Is Adonai no longer in Zion? Is her king no longer in her? Why have they provoked me with their graven images, with foreign idols? Harvest is past, summer is over, yet we are not saved. Because of the brokenness of the daughter of my people, I am brokenhearted. I mourn, desolation grips me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Then why is no healing gone up for the daughter of my people? If only my head were water and my eyes were fountain of tears, then I would weep day and night for the slain of the daughter of my people.